Unfortunately, when I was about 16, 17 years old, God, I can't believe I'm about to talk about this. Man, this is crazy, but I do
No, it's
feel like
okay.
Bullshit, bullshit. Shit detect. Or shit, bullshit, bull. Tectonic uplift. A feature in some earthquakes. Stand by.
Okay, right off the bat, our bullshit detector blew the fuck up. How you doing over there, HK?
Interrogative. What just happened?
Raxo was telling the story about the time he said he was victimized. Your bullshit detector overloaded, to say the least. You know, for the rest of this, it's probably a good idea if you turned it off or left.
Declaration. Thank the maker. See you later, chumps.
Yeah, if I had a dedicated bullshit detector, I'd need to get away too. Seriously, he is way too happy talking about this. Look, we know everyone deals with trauma differently, but really deep wounds shouldn't make one smile when they talk about them. Oh, yep, great story there. That's my broken heart scar from when my family and our puppy were murdered by cartels for choosing the wrong cantina. It sucked, but I can look back on it now and smile. Not the kind of thing you'll hear from someone who has been truly traumatized.
It feels like he's genuinely excited. And he probably was, for several reasons. If he pulled this off, he'd have a shield of sorts to hide behind. Nobody wants to mock an actual victim. In his mind, we're guessing, he thought this was going to be the silver bullet he could use to get rid of the trolls. Plus, he likes being the center of attention, too, so he was probably enjoying that as well.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
with you, don't forget that, you know.
yeah, I know. It's just like, it's one of those things that you don't really want to face, but you kind of have to, in a sense. So, like, this is a good thing here. So, you know, like, unfortunately, yeah, like, unfortunately, when I was 16, 17 years old, around that time period, I was actually by one of my best friends from high school. Now, at the time, I didn't know that he was gay. I had actually met this kid. His name was Billy. We had gone to the same high school together. And me and him grew really, really close. We were super cool with each other. And at first, like, I didn't take him as gay. Like, I just took him as, you know, being, you know, that weird kid in high school that's just, like, really strange and, like, an oddball kind of person. Like, that was him. And, like, I took it at that. I was like, yo, like, you know, like, he was really cool. He was super chill. He was actually the guy that actually introduced me to Linkin Park, ironically. He had gotten me into their music. So, like, you know, I started listening to them. And there was one day where he came over to my house and, like,
Here we go.
we were hanging out or whatever. And, like, during that time, like, he just kind of, like, put his arm around me, kind of like what Jake does to me all the time. Like, he kind of gave me a hug like that. And, like, during that time, like, the way he did it made me suspect that he was, but I wasn't entirely sure.
But he just kept kissing me. Why would he do that?
Well, didn't you tell me that you had gripped him by the buttocks and pulled him closer?
Yes, but that was because I was concerned that he might fall. I mean, the doctor, his pants were down around his goddamn ankles.
So I was like, okay, whatever, but okay, it is what it is. But there was a day where we had some, like, city people working on our street, and I guess one of them had to cut the power to my street. And the way our streets was like, we lived on, like, a street that was like this. So, like, this whole block was one street, and then down this way was another. So when our power went out, keep in mind, I did not know that Billy had lived on the same street until he had walked down the street.
Really? That's odd. Later on in this quote-unquote survivor story, you said y'all hung out all the time.
Like, he seemed like such a good kid because he would always come over, he would always hang out, you know, we would always play video games. Like, hell, there were times where he would stay the weekend and nothing would happen.
Are you seriously asking us to believe you didn't know where he lived?
And he was like, yo, like, is your guys' power out? Because, like, we noticed people over here working or whatever. And we were like, yeah, but, like, it came back, like, we're good, you know, whatever. And then, like, later that night, they started working again and whatnot. And, you know, unfortunately, the power was out for that whole night. So my mom had to work that night, so she was like, hey, why don't you just go ahead and, you know, walk over there to Billy's house with them. And I was like, all right, cool, no problem. You know, I'll go over there, stay the night over there.
Okay, dum-dum, you're already fudging details, as if you were making up parts of this as you go. We just heard you say Billy walked by, saw the construction, offered to let you come over. You said no thanks. Then, later that night, you said the power went out again, and Sally told you to go over to Billy's house with him. You know, Raxo, it's easy to screw up details when you lie, especially if you're stupid.
Not a problem, because, you know, I had school the next day anyway, so I was like, fuck it. Just crash over there, go to school with them next day, whatever. Well, me and him were over there. We did the typical things that you would normally do. Like, we would sit there, play video games, listen to music, annoy the shit out of his older sister. Like, you know, the typical stuff, you know, very typical teenager-esque stuff. And yes, for all y'all wondering if I was a rebel as a teenager, you bet your damn ass I was a fucking rebel. I was the worst, let's be honest. I was the worst fucking rebel. Ask my mom, she'll tell you. I was bad. But, like, you know, we were over there hanging out, whatever. And, it was time for us to hit the sack, so we were like, fuck it, you know, let's just pass out, put on a movie or whatever, fall asleep, go to school, whatever. Well, yo, Detroit, what up, man? But, whenever, we started passing out, I was like literally the first to fall asleep. I was halfway asleep. I was just like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, you know how like when you're like in that in-between area of like being asleep and awake, like you're like right in between? It was like that. Like I was literally like, ugh. And I didn't know that this was gonna happen. Like, literally, I was laying there completely out of it, half asleep. Okay? Just literally.
We get it. You were half asleep. You didn't know what was gonna happen. Move on.
And, like, next thing I know, I feel something behind me, and I'm, like, looking around thinking, like, oh, that's probably just his dog, because he had a dog that would, you know, come in the room and hang out or whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever, his dog's there, whatever, cool, fine. Let him pass out, I don't give two shits.
Chance, can I just ask, did you mention his disability? I can't remember at the beginning.
Oh yeah, that is something that I did forget to mention, that he was half blind, but they legally labeled him as blind for whatever reason. I don't know why they did full blind instead of half. And I think the reason why is because he had to have like those special canes that like roll around so that blind people can feel stuff. And keep in mind, I didn't know that he was gonna do what he did. So like he could see like the general outline of things, but he couldn't like fully see. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he could see like the general outline shape of things. So, like, he did have a disability in that regard, but the guy was smart as a fucking tack. I'll admit, the guy was super smart. But that night,
How old was he? Was he the same age? Was he a year or two younger than you?
he was he was literally like about to be the same age as me. I was 17 at the time. He was 16.
Yeah.
He was getting ready to be 17, and I was just getting ready to be 18 that year. So like it was like right in between. But like I was saying, you know, like we were laying down. I felt something up against me. Figured that, you know, it was his dog.
Notice how he spends so much time talking about irrelevant things. We theorize he never really thought through the story he planned on feeding Tange, so during these times, he's trying to think up the details of the actual assault, which is something people who have actually been through trauma don't need to do.
Next thing I know, I feel a fucking arm come around me. And unfortunately, like, I felt my pants get ripped down, and from there, everything happened, and before I knew what happened, I fucking see him on top of me. So as soon as I seen that, I literally reached my elbow around.
And there it is, the first major discrepancy. Hey, Raxo, if you had to elbow him from behind, how exactly could you see he was on top of you? Oh yeah, also another one. How the hell did a mostly blind kid pull this off in the dark?
And I like got him like right here on the jaw, because he was up high enough to where I could, you know, get him. So I fucking reach around, I'm like, yo, get the fuck off me, dude. And he was literally sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, he took me as being gay when I clearly wasn't. And I had told him this, and I guess he was trying to, you know, force that on me by doing what he did, unfortunately. And next day, we went to school after I had packed my shit up and I went back home. I had let my mom know what had happened.
Once again, he is lying. A couple of days later, he was on panel with Courtney, Marty, and one of her friends when he said the following.
That was literally like right when I got home. Like literally the minute I walked in the door, my mom was like, what are you doing home? I thought you were staying over at his house for the night. I was like, yeah, well, that's not happening now. And she was like, what happened? Like,
and you didn't tell her? Did you tell her then when you got back home? Did you tell her?
I was an idiot teenager at the time. I was like, I made up a fucking lie saying, hey, you know, their power went out, whatever, you know. So, you know, I had, you know, stayed there with the power off, didn't give a shit at that point. I was like, you know, I'm staying home, fuck this. So we went to school the next day, and he had seen me later that morning and was like, he had wrote a note saying that he was sorry and whatnot, that he didn't mean for that to happen. And at that point, I was like in complete disgust of like, you know, how can you do that to somebody like that and, you know, be sorry about it? Like, what the fuck? So, you know, I was
sorry
like,
to interrupt. Can I ask you something that's quite important, please?
Yeah.
Did you actually? Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. But he wasn't in there long enough to really be able to do anything.
Right.
So thankfully it didn't go too far, but it was just enough to be like, yo, like, you're about to get knocked out.
Is pretty much the definition of going too far, dumbass. Unless you're into it, another dude poking your hole is too far indeed.
And I was still in complete shock and disgust. I was like, dude, like, no amount of notes or letters that you write me could ever make up for what you've done. Like, that's not okay. And I get a call down to the principal's office later that day, and I was like, okay, like, I didn't know if I was in trouble or what, because that week before I actually did get into a fight with some idiot that wanted to start shit, so I didn't know if it was about that or if it was about something else. I didn't know. So I went down there to talk to the principal, And he had brought up the fact that Billy had told him what happened. And I looked at him, I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Like, okay, he told you what happened. And he apparently turned around, and this does happen to a lot of people, mind you. As sad as it is, Billy had turned the story around and said that I had done it to him, and which wasn't true at all. Like, I had the marks and everything on me at that time to prove it. I had still had, you know, scratch marks on my arm from where he was trying to keep a hold of me. And I had even told Billy, I was like, show me your fucking lip where I fucking elbowed your ass. Like, show it.
Meaty me, you really suck at this. That whole thing about not knowing what this was about, the principal telling you that Billy spilled the beans, well, that kind of goes out the window when you suddenly start talking as if Billy was there the whole time. We mean, even someone as dumb as you would have known what this was about the second you walked in and saw Billy with the principal. But you didn't say that. You said the principal told you, and then, as you were coming up with the next lie, you forgot you made it sound like it was just you and the principal.
And he was like, no, I don't have to do anything, blah, blah, blah. And the principal didn't force it. And unfortunately, they had to expel me because he was underage at the time. And the principal was like, look, you know, I kind of figured, like, this wasn't you. Because, like, he had talked to Billy and Billy's parents and family, and the principal had them take him home.
See, you did it again. If the principal had his family take him home, when the hell did you have a chance to tell him to show off his lip?
And when I sat down and I talked to the principal by myself with my family present, he had said, you know, like, look, I know you're not a bad student, because that week before I actually did get into a fight with some idiot that wanted to start shit, so I didn't know if it was about that or if it was about something else. I didn't know. That's your damn ass. I was a fucking rebel. I was the worst, let's be honest. I was the worst fucking rebel. Ask my mom, she'll tell you. I was bad.
You can't have it both ways, Meaty me. Either you were a hellion or a good kid. This is just the beginning, folks. In the conclusion, we'll hear from Billy himself and, of course, Marty, who was there to also poke holes in his ridiculous survivor story. Thank y'all for checking this out. Have a great day, night, whatever you got going on.